This program is a satire about true crimes and their consequences. It may therefore contain descriptions of violence against people and animals, strong language, as well as other triggering content, and may not be suitable for those under the age of 16. We neither endorse nor condone any illegal actions. So please, don't go chopping anybody up.
Really trying to find something funny in this, but it's hard.
We need some humor here.
In the U.S., someone commits a murder every 30 minutes. Many of those killers are convicted and then imprisoned because criminals are dumb. During this podcast, we will examine where they went wrong and analyze their mistakes. We're not dumb enough to kill, but if we were, we would kill smarter.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Kill Smarter. I am one of your hosts. I am Jay Burns. Joining me, as always, the Duchy to my left-hand side, Aaron Leidecker. Hey, Aaron, how are you?
I'm very, very well tonight. My faithful companion. Satoshi on the left-hand side.
That's all
I love that video. I got that music, make me jump and sway. That's really just...
I know we can't risk any copyright law. Well, we have some fun. We're back again for another fun thing. And this is yours today, and I actually have no idea. I realized it just before we came on. I literally have no idea who you're going to talk about today. So
I'm going to go. This is a new killer for me.
Okay.
I actually never heard of this person before. Ooh. You probably have.
Oh, I don't know.
But like I was just doing some research and I said, what are some serial killers that don't really stick out in the minds of, people when they hear the word serial killer, when they hear serial killer? Jeffrey Dahmer, Wayne Gacy, Ted Bundy, who I was recently compared to on Facebook.
Okay.
I made a comment. I made a comment on the Dave Chappelle.
Okay.
No, we're not going to go. Don't worry, we're not going to go. We're not going to get into this. But I had said that what he definitely did was he kind of showcased how. And all of a sudden I get a notification. It's some dude. I don't know who he is. He says, "What's it like to think you're clever, but you really have the arrogance of Ted Bundy?"
I mean, I have never known you to have the arrogance of Ted Bundy.
I actually took it as a compliment because...
Yeah, I mean, yes. Yeah. I mean, I guess. I mean, no. Don't take that as a compliment. You should never take a comparison to a serial killer as a compliment.
Well, no, the arrogance, yes, because I can be a little bit arrogant, and I take pride in that because I'm usually arrogant because I am... because I'm confident.
Arrogance.
I do because I'm
confident. My deadly sins.
because I'm confident. And this idiot didn't have any idea what he was talking about comparing me to Ted Bundy. So I'm like, a tip of the cap to you, sir. And then a mutual friend of ours chimed in, and I was like, why did you do that? Because now this guy's going to keep coming back, and I don't have all day. I don't want to talk. I don't want to argue with this guy. But our mutual friend said, if I know anything about Aaron, he is Ted Bundy or something like that. And I was like, oh God. But for this guy, I'm going to, we're going to go over his modus operandi first. Okay. His MO. Okay. I'm going to read this and then we're going to, then I'll tell you who he is.
Okay. Can I try and guess though, after you give me the modus operandi?
Oh, 100%.
Okay. All right.
If you get this,
Mm-hmm.
martinis on me the next show all night.
Ooh, all night. Remember, you're a one drink girl.
Well,
I am not.
Thank you. I'm an arrogant one drink girl, and I will tell you this: the show is 1.5 miles from my house, so I don't give a fuck. Right? Can't hang out with you and Brian without having a martini or a gin. It just seems right.
It does. I mean, I don't know about right, but it just seems like it's what you gotta do.
It seems appropriate.
All right, let's go for his modus operandi.
A number of victims were military officers who were hitchhiking. After picking them up in his car, he would drug them and or get them drunk, bind them, torture them by burning a car cigarette lighter against their face, chest, and genitals, sexually abuse them, and kill them in various ways, such as strangling, asphyxiation, bludgeoning, or from a combination of torture and drugs.
Okay.
He would also castrate them, either as a form of torture or post-mortem, or mutilate and dismember them. He took photos of his victims while they were unconscious or even dead, and would keep a record of his victims. Hence his nickname. There's a hint for you. On a sheet of paper with nicknames for each victim written down on. He would always dump the bodies near highways in Southern California. Some of his confirmed and suspected victims were found with some objects inserted in their rectums, most often a sock. The victims were also often barefoot, sometimes fully clothed everywhere else. Some suspect that did this because of a foot fetish. Also bit his victims, usually on and or around the genitals or nipples.
Okay. Am I guessing now?
Take a wild guess. This name is badass. Like, I just love this name. The nickname.
The nickname? I don't remember the nickname. I can almost entirely picture. There's one in particular I'm thinking about, and I can't. And the fact I remember most from, I can't remember his name. The fact I remember most from him, there was a movie that came out about a murderer a guy who kidnapped this art student, or kidnapped this woman to force her to see his art. And he was so pissed off that he thought it was ripping off his life that he sued. He went to the police to try and sue or something like that. And the proof he had was this because he kept meticulous notes of every murder he ever did. And so he basically gave the cops this meticulous note of what he did. And that's how he got caught. Am I anywhere in the ballpark?
No.
Oh, now I'm even more excited. And it's not the I-70 killer, right?
No.
Okay.
What's the I-70 killer?
The I-70 killer was the guy who left stuff in his pool, like dumb mannequins in his pool, and he would bring his victims in there and pretend it was a party. Not him. There is a foot fetish killer. The lipstick killer?
No.
I don't know who it is. Who is it?
I'm talking about Randy Steven the Scorecard Killer Kraft.
I don't know this. The Scorecard Killer?
Between 1972 and 1983, Randy Steven Kraft, the Scorecard Killer, is believed to have murdered as many as 51 young men along California freeways.
Wait. So Randy Steven Kraft?
Kraft, yeah, like the
way
cheese.
You said, I'm not gonna lie. The way you said it was very like, this guy is like Ronnie James Dio. Robert Randy.
Introducing to the arena, Randy Steven the Scorecard Killer Kraft, taking on Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 9.
Not even wrestling. I was just thinking like early or like late 70s, early 80s metal. You know what I mean? Like,
you went there. Then I took it to the next. I was like, all right, because it made me think of like Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling. You can't beat that.
I mean, Randy Savage.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm fascinated. Let's go, Cat, go.
After each murder, this is the reason why he's called the Scorecard Killer. After each murder, he added coded references to his victims on a piece of notebook paper in the trunk of his car. Although there are over 50 entries, he was only convicted of 16 murders, many of which, obviously, I just talked about, included sodomy, torture, mutilation. The dude's still alive, by the way.
Really?
He sits on death row.
I was gonna say, I'm assuming he's in prison still.
Yeah.
But
we're gonna as I go through this, we're gonna kind of go through a little bit of the history,
right,
as RMO, as our modus operandi, if I may. And you're gonna see, I think we're gonna see a lot of similarities, a lot of traits that we see in other serial killers.
I mean, that's true. There's a pattern to almost every murderer, every psychopath. So
yeah. I mean, I think there's a pattern to a lot. I mean, just doing the research for these shows, there's a lot I see that is, very similar. But I also think maybe, sometimes it's not impossible that people look into things and like make
see patterns,
comparisons that aren't there.
absolutely.
Yeah. I know this because my writing teacher, one of them, we were doing a poem and we had to rip it apart, and I was basically line by line, I was like thinking of what symbols, what this could be, what could this mean.
What
and
does
she's like,
Nantucket mean?
And she's like, I know.
I don't understand. I mean, he could have said Metapoiset.
And my teacher was basically, my professor was basically like, I think you look a little too hard into things. Some things are just, what they say. And
sometimes
I'm like, okay.
A cigar is just a cigar, my friend.
Sometimes, yes, exactly. What's not on the page is not on the page.
Right.
It's basically like, this is good writing. If you want it on stage, you have to write it, and like the people need to understand it.
Isn't that the famous like Occam's razor? Like
I have no idea what that is.
It's a statement that says basically, if you hear hoofbeats, don't think zebras.
Oh yeah, dude. No, that's a doctor said that. I forget. I was actually just someone wrote something, and it's like, yeah, if you hear hoofs behind you, think horses, not zebras. It's basically like, it was basically taught to doctors. So it's like, look, always go. It's the most common thing usually. Yeah. Don't go looking for So.
Yeah, don't go looking for something that's more.
That's weird. That's weird that I read that quote this week in a class from another one of my fellow students' essays, and then you say it now, and I'd never heard that before.
No, Occam's razor.
That is funny.
I'm almost certain it's called Occam's razor, but it is a diagnostics thing in medicine. Yeah. Anyway,
that's very funny. It's not funny, but fun. Not ha funny, but All right, so let's go back in time. Let's go talk about Kraft when he was born. Kraft was born back in 1945 in Long Beach, California, but his family moved to Orange County when he was 3 years old. He lived in an ultra conservative area and was totally right wing. He was in in 1963 he graduated high school and went to like the men's college and then joined like a reserve training corps. Like he's very military,
very rigid.
He was in favor of Nam. But then there's a weird thing. For some unknown reason, his political beliefs started changing, which they do.
Yeah.
But I mean, which everyone's political beliefs, sway here and there. Especially when you're young. His political beliefs started changing the following year, and he even got a job as a bartender at a gay bar.
Oh. Really?
But I mentioned the gay bar because, so now as I was reading this, I was like, I think we're going to see some hidden things deep down that he's not ready to deal with.
Yeah. I mean, 100%, especially if you were raised in a very conservative area. And I feel like if it's a military area and then he went into the reserves and everything like that. So I think he's been no pun intended. He's been pounded his entire life that, you have to be this and this and this. And now when he starts to have free thoughts and he starts to be more of a thinker, like an independent thinker, that he does that 180. So that makes perfect sense that he would take the extreme road, whether he's out as gay or not. I'm assuming he's got to be somewhat out if he's working at a gay bar.
Well, during his final year, there were rumors that he enjoyed bondage. According to a roommate, Kraft would disappear a few times a week and then return at strange hours. He also suffered from stomach pains and migraines. Yeah. You ever suffer from stomach pains?
Yeah,
Wait a minute. Hold on a minute.
Alcoholic. Of course I suffer from stomach pains.
Stomach pains, migraines, and frequently took a Valium to treat it.
Fortunately, I don't do that. I just drink more.
The behavior just starts accumulating. I feel like he starts going downhill once he started working at the gay bar. No, I was kidding, but don't cut that out. In 1966, he was arrested for lewd behavior when he solicited an undercover cop, but was let off with a warning since it was his first offense.
Thank you for saying let off and not gut off.
Yes, you're welcome. If he got the cop off, he probably would. He definitely wouldn't have gotten arrested. Yeah. Okay, so now he's becoming more open about his homosexuality, spending most of his free times in gay bars. He also started failing because he was like his late night habits. He had to like retake some courses because he was failing his economics.
So he's still in college when he's working in the gay bar.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yep,
okay.
Yep.
All right.
He took it hard when Robert Kennedy was assassinated.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And this is when he was stationed. Now he was stationed at Edwards Air Force Base, was discharged on medical grounds in 1969. I mean, I'm saying medical in quotation marks. People listening can't hear, but people watching can. In 1969, when he came out of the closet and became a full-time bartender, I think the Air Force was like, nope.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't have Don't Ask, Don't Tell. They just said, get the hell out.
Kraft later became a computer programmer, and in the 1970s, during his murder, Kraft would often go to a local Marine base. Now, this is when it gets interesting. During the 70s and 80s, the victims of Kraft were among many of the dead bodies found near the highways of California, and the investigators believe the murders to be the work of a single serial killer who is dubbed the Highway Killer.
Oh.
That's why when you said 170 earlier, I was like, there were two perpetrators other than him that were, besides Kraft, that were like killing people on the highway, and those people got caught, and Kraft was like the last one to get caught. In all cases, as his MO, the victims were males who suffered some kind of sexual abuse and torture before being killed.
So those were the other highway victims that were not Krafts, right? That also had like sexual abuse and were killed, or are these?
Well, no. In all the cases that were found to be Krafts, it was sexual abuse and torture. Yeah. Gotta say, really trying to find something funny in this, but it's hard.
We'll get there. Don't worry. The only reason I asked because I'm doing some research on. I started listening to this podcast that had another podcast that is a psychiatrist. She's discovering about these two serial killers that were both killing in the same town at literally the same time in the 70s. And they're two pretty prolific serial killers. And the concept is being like, what in this area at this time developed these two murderers. And I just find it interesting that there's another little spot that maybe there was other killers that, maybe for a short while, like these three people were all killing in the DC area, the Virginia DC area. Like that's kind of a fascinating thought to me.
I think they're in cahoots.
You think they're in cahoots, or you're just?
No, I'm just saying. Do you think they're in cahoots? I mean,
no, I don't. They're almost never in cahoots. Can we say cahoots 4 more times?
Cahoots, but it's one of those funny words.
It is a funny word, and it
has the cuss sound.
Very serious thing.
Yeah.
No, but there's no cahoots.
There's no cahoots.
So the last thing you had said was about that almost all of his victims had some sexual abuse to them.
But, yeah.
But we were talking about he was at Edwards Air Force Base, and there was also a couple of murders that had happened that the bodies were found in the highway, but they turned out to be other people.
Yes. So Kraft's killings are believed to have started in 1971, the victim being a guy named Wayne Joseph Duquette. Kraft was never convicted of this murder. He was first arrested on suspicion of murder when the severed head of one of his victims, Keith Crotwell, was found near Long Beach Marina. Since he had been getting into the car revealed to be Kraft, he was questioned as a suspect, but he claimed he left him, off at an all-night cafe. He left him alive. Yeah. And Kraft was released due to lack of evidence, but he cut his head off.
So, but Duquette, is there?
Well, I mean, he had to have. He never admitted to Duquette, though Kraft was never convicted of his murder. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm assuming he never admitted to it because he was never convicted. So, you know what I mean? Like, why would you get convicted if?
I mean, we find that a lot of times, sometimes they'll just try and get them one that they get the most evidence. Like if they can't find a body, sometimes they won't convict them on it, even though they can.
Oh yeah, I can see you watch more SVU than I do.
I love my SVU.
Hold up. No, I love SVU too. I love SVU. Like it's one of those shows. Like how have they not done the same story again? They had to have, but like maybe like 15 years difference. Yeah.
Boom, boom. Dick Wolf. All of them have been on for 1,000 years.
So he was questioned. The head release. The guy got his head cut off. Now he was caught. This is how he got caught. He was caught drinking and driving under the influence.
Okay.
When the officers looked in his car, they saw a man who appeared to be sleeping in the back seat. When they opened it, they found him to be dead, with obvious sounds of foul play.
Okay.
This
is his like actual caught, not like the first time he got arrested.
No, this is when he was caught. There was no arrest. There was no other arrests.
Oh, I thut you said he had gotten arrested.
He was first arrested, but then the second time was when he got caught. They found Terry Gambrell, who is a Marine officer, strangled with his own belt.
You think it's like a carotene type thing?
You think what do you think like
erotic asphyxiation with the belt?
On whose part? Kraft's?
Either one. I mean, you would assume that if Kraft is into some sort of bondage, you would think he would find people that were also into that, and the bondage aspect may be an easy out for him to like kill.
Yeah, because you could say, oh, it's an accident. Like it was, he killed himself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
obviously, if you've moved the body, you're culpable at that point in time. But
yes, here's I would say yes, but if in the next fact we see that a search warrant for the car was obtained and carried out, and the police found tranquilizers and prescription drugs inside. Here's where he gets his goose cooked. As well as an envelope containing 47 photographs of young men, most of them either dead or seemingly asleep in pornographic poses.
oof. And
Ding ding.
And this was on top of the like check, the little thing in the, or is this the thing in the back of the car, the scorecard?
No, this isn't the scorecard yet.
Oh wow.
No, this gets, you think we're at the end, but it's actually but it is kind of, this story kind of like,
I do think Randy said he got arrested. So
well, no. Well, it's at the end, but it's like a very like a Pulp Fiction type thing. We go back a little bit.
I was gonna say it's a Tarantino-esque, non-linear story.
This is very non-linear.
Okay.
Yeah, the pornographic poses, and I know, like, I've noticed a lot of killers like to take pictures of their victims while they're sleeping.
It's not so much. I think a lot of them either sleeping or passed out or drugged or something like that. It's the simulation of the death that I think they find attractive, and that's why they like the pornographic pictures, but of them sleeping and whatchamacallit, because they can. It's the imagery of to them is attractive to them, that they like that they're dead bodies, and that's what they are into, and that's what turns them on, and so that's why they like them in those poses. That's why there's a great number of serial killers that, or at least sexual serial killers, that drug their victims beforehand, because it's just a matter of getting them pliable. It's easier for them. It's easier to make them do things if they're passed out, and high or whatever.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder if there's this like to be attracted to dead bodies.
Yeah,
that's obviously a sickness.
Yeah.
Is there something in their brain that is like, no, this, they might not want to be like this, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is a line that's kind of like, well, you don't really know what, you don't really want to cross it, because you could say the same thing about people who like pedos.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, is there something in their brain? Don't get me wrong. There should,
I mean, but it's all varying degrees, really.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be fair. I mean, pedophilia is, sex with minors. But I mean, you're not going to tell me that probably one of the most searched pornographic categories is, barely legal. Barely legal is just pre-pedophilia. You know what I mean? That's just, it's a degree of pedophilia. I mean, truly. I mean, that's kind of
it's getting around it, because it's basically people who like a year ago were not legal, and now
but if you infantilize a person, if you make them a child in your sexual desires and your sexual fantasies, then it's exactly as if you are examining your pedophilic tendencies.
Britney Spears, hit me baby one more time. Honestly,
Speaking of,
they know what they're doing.
But not just that. Look at Britney Spears. I mean, there are all of those videos of her. I mean, the most famous video of her, hit me baby one more time. She's in a schoolgirl outfit.
Yep.
The idea is that she's in high school. You're playing to, and pedophilia in varying degrees is one of these sexual mores that we allow the tiniest bit, like I said, infantilizing somebody, the barely 18 thing, shaved pubic areas. Those are all ways to infantilize somebody. And it's just acceptable forms of pedophilia. Yeah. And I mean, this is me. I'm in no way a psychiatrist. I'm in no way, a sex therapist or anything.
No, of course not. But we could just,
my views on these things, but I also feel like there's the same thing. There is a mindset. There is a category of porn of like forced porn. where people are
Yes.
forcing themselves on a person. And there's even a
even if it's
category-
acted, it's acted out.
absolutely
It's acted out, but it's like, yeah, what it's turning you on right now, and it's sick.
Miggy.
No, not you.
No, but there's like a whole, and even in the BDSM community, there is an entire thing of consensual non-consent. Like we are consenting that you get to rape me, essentially. And that's, again, it's the narrow little gray area that we've allowed ourselves. So the necrophilia, actually wanting to be with a dead person is no different than those people who look up porn of like, the person is passed out after a party.
Granny. That's what I search. I keep it safe.
Yes.
My computer's
that's safe. Aaron, what are you doing downstairs? Guilt porn. That's what
That's definitely not illegal.
Why can't I find any oh God, I can't even think of her name. Ginger from Gilligan's Island porn or
Hey, you know what? I bought all 7 seasons of the Golden Girls, and I'm not ashamed. Blanche Devereaux. That's all I gotta say.
Yes, she did. Blanche did Devereaux. Anyway, so that's where I was going with that. So I mean, there is forms of acceptable necrophilia out there that we allow. It was a long way to go for that.
Yeah.
It was a weird way to go for that too.
I like these conversations.
I do too.
There was also a lot of blood on the passenger seat, even though the dude had no lacerations on his body. The guy, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So where's that blood coming?
Oh, that's
whose blood is that?
I'd be interested to find out if maybe like I'd be fascinated to learn more about that, because I wonder if it would be something like, could it be from like a punch to the face and the nose was bleeding? Or even like you said, they were often sodomized. They had some sexual abuse. Could they have been sodomized beforehand, sitting in the car, and then later on he moved them into the back? I don't know. That's weird. That's a weird one.
Yeah, that is very weird.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Who knows how many bodies were in that car at one point?
Yeah.
It could be anybody.
I mean, you would think at least 49.
Yeah. So then they went to Kraft's home, gave that a search.
Yeah.
They said, hey, what's going on over here, right? More evidence was found, including possessions of the murder victims' Kraft scorecard, on which he listed his victims by strange nicknames. This is so creepy.
Yeah.
Related to their locations or personal habits, such as deodorant, New Year's Eve, Iowa.
Wow.
Isn't that bizarre?
That's really fascinating. Like, and it's almost nondescript in a way. Like deodorant, like how do you pick which victim? You know what I mean? Like you could find that a victim lived in Iowa, was born in Iowa, or something like that, or you can connect the dots that maybe this victim and Kraft were in the same bar on New Year's Eve, but like weird little things like, if he had like Freckle. Who the fuck is Freckle?
Yeah. The one that wait till he gets this weird name. So Kraft claimed that the terms listed on the scorecard referred to sexual encounters he'd had.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, Iowa, maybe.
Yeah, a little farm boy.
It could be, dude. That could be anything. That could be farm boy. Yeah, it could have had a birthmark the shape of Iowa on his leg. Like, who knows what this guy's
I didn't
thinking?
Even think that. You're right.
Deodorant could be he liked the smell of his deodorant. Maybe he wasn't wearing deodorant. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, there's a lot of different possibilities.
New Year's Eve. I mean, Jesus Christ, that's anything.
He could have reminded him of a New Year's baby.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
Right. It could be any number of things. I never thought about. I was thinking very linearly about it. But you're right. He's not a normal thinker. So to give normal thought to that is
And in the end, Kraft was charged with 16 murders.
Wait, what was the weird nickname?
I'll tell you right now.
Oh, okay,
among them was a John Doe.
Yeah.
Who is nicknamed as Airplane Hill.
Oh, what would that
on the scorecard? He wasn't identified until 1995. His real name being Kevin Clark Bailey. Airplane Hill. Like,
that sounds like literally that's where they met. You know, because like back then you could like park next to an airport and watch the planes.
That's true. That's true.
You know what I mean? That sounds like a place where they met.
Yeah,
Like we had sex on Airport Hill.
that is very true.
Yeah.
He was charged with all the murders that
Right.
there was photographs of, all the scorecard. He was found guilty on all counts, as well as some other related charges of sodomy and torture. I don't know if I said that at the beginning. I'm sorry if I made a mistake. He was first sentenced to death, but the sentence was upheld in 2000. And now,
okay.
oh no, he still is on death row. I'm sorry. Why don't I just get this fucking story straight?
Well, I mean,
Yeah. So now, he still is on death row in San Quentin.
Yeah, he's still going through appeals. I would say what happens. I mean, look. I mean, how long was Manson on death row in
That's true.
San Quentin?
That's true.
You know? I mean,
Yeah.
that's how they roll.
Yeah. So that's our killer, the scorecard killer.
So, all right. So I have a big question. What was
Yeah.
the scorecard? Like, what did he score?
I don't know if there was numbers on it per se. I just think it was like a
That's what
list.
makes me think. Like, I mean, a list is a list, but a scorecard is a very specific thing. Like, did he mark? It was like deodorant 6 out of 10.
No, it wasn't. It didn't, at least in what I read, it didn't say that. It just said like it was like a list. Like it could have been a scorecard. You know, like you get, I don't know if you get like golf scorecards or baseball scorecards when you go to a game to keep track. It could have been something like that.
But there's statistics in there, so you have to mark down something. Like even with a baseball scorecard, you're marking off. Yep, this one was a strike. This was a hit. This was a ball. You know, there's a lot. I don't know. I'd love to find that out too.
I'm just gonna Google image.
All right.
Yeah, I mean,
and the other question I had was the pictures in the car. Were those Polaroids or does it not say? It just says pictures.
it doesn't say. It just says pictures.
See, back then, pictures to me, that's one of those big things that kind of stands out in my head as this is how they could screw it up. Because if it's not Polaroid and they don't work in a film lab, someone else has to see those pictures.
Yes.
You know, those are one of those like, oh, this could screw you up, buddy. So it was 47 people that he found. That
I'm looking at a picture of the scorecard right now.
Yeah.
It is literally a list. It's just a list.
Oh,
Airplane Hill. It's very black and it's very it's hard to read, but there's definitely it's just names. Skates, diabetic.
Ooh. Oh no.
EDM, parking lot, dog, deodorant, navy white.
Oh. Ooh.
Portland. Yeah.
This sounds like this sounds like a really shitty like emo band set list. Guys, we're gonna play something from our new album, Navy White.
Airplane Hill. Airplane Hill.
Yeah, exactly. Doesn't this like
play deodorant?
the shittiest Panic at the Disco album ever?
Oh god.
This one's for Iowa.
Because it's like I wrote a little list of couple of his victims.
Okay, go ahead.
How does it feel to be Joseph Fancher, March 1970, 13 years old, drugged and sodomized, but not killed? 13 years old and 70. You're still alive now.
Yeah.
I'm going to look that guy up later. Joseph Fancher. I mean,
yeah, that's not going to. By the way, if you want to help a victim support hotline, we'll leave that number at the end of the episode.
Yeah, right. December 23rd, 1972.
Christmas. Oh, right.
Edward
Christmas.
Daniel Moore, 20,
Yeah.
bit his genitals, beaten with a blunt object, and strangled, stuffed a sock into his rectum, and redressed him after he died.
Off?
And
bit his genitals off, or Kraft just
bit
bit
them.
his genitals?
Just bit them.
So the
Bit them,
bite
yeah.
mark. That's chewy too.
And a Merry Christmas, buddy. Redress postmortem. That's the creepiest thing when they do things to the dead after that. Ugh.
I know there's been a couple ones that we've done that I'm like, oh, there's time. They spent time doing these things. Like none of these crimes. A lot of these serial killers, they unfortunately have the not. I don't want to say luxury. Luxury doesn't seem right, but they end up they have the time, which is weird. Like they can spend time. Like we've covered people that have like kept bodies for months or weeks, and they just keep bringing them out and playing around and whatever. But I don't know. It's strange to me. Like how do you hide it long enough?
I would love to. I mean, I would love to watch the study of the serial killer brain.
Oh, there's some.
I mean, I'm sure. Of course, I could look it up. I mean, like, I think that'd be
great documentaries that definitely do that. And like I said, this podcast I'm listening to, she is a criminal psychiatrist. That's exactly what she does. She studies serial killers and kind of finds what are those things that serial killers do. You know, and listens to like interviews with them. pretty fantastic, I will say.
Okay, so Kraft was pretty crafty.
Good pun. I don't know if he was. I mean,
I just wanted to say that.
First of all, 47. That's a lot. But you said he was only convicted on 16.
Yeah, the ones that.
I mean, if he genuinely hit 47 as a number, that's huge. That is absolutely gigantic for a serial killer. But I mean, even 16 is pretty high. And,
so there was 50 entries in his book, in his scorecard, but he was only convicted of 16.
Okay, and there was 47 pictures, right?
Yeah.
Weird.
So 50 minus 47, carry the 1. So yeah, makes sense.
And I wonder what the correlation is between like, are those the people that got away? You know, I wonder how many got away. How many got away, and we don't know they're connected to this guy.
Yeah.
I was reading. I had been reading about an article from a sheriff who worked on the what's his name? Edward Kempler. Serial killer Edward Kempler. And
Edward Kemper had a horrible temper. No, seriously, there's a band called.
Right, no, it wasn't Kemper. It was Herbert Mullins. And Mullins, the police confronted Mullins, and he was like, because they were looking for a gun, and it happened to be registered to Mullins. And so they went to his house and they were looking for him. And Mullins was like, "Oh, it's in my basement." And they were like, "Okay, well, can we come in and see the gun? We just want to inspect it, see if it's been, that kind of." And then they walked into the house, and the second they walked in, he's like, "Oh no, it's actually in the trunk of my car. We should go there." And when he went to the garage, the cops, they weren't thinking anything. They weren't like necessarily thinking this was the bad guy. They just thought his gun was used in a crime. And so what they did, though, was for some reason, instinctually, they separated onto either side of the car. And he opened up the trunk to get the gun. Anyway, when they interviewed Mullins, they said to him, Mullins said to the cop, he said, I was going to use the gun and kill both of you. And he was like, if we hadn't separated, if we were standing next to each other, he would have absolutely had a chance to open that trunk, grab the shotgun, and like kill these two guys. But because they had done that, and the person interviewing this cop was like, you just admitted that you almost got murdered by a serial killer. You were almost victims like I think he was a victims like 12 and 13. It would have been if both of them had been killed. And but that's such a weird thought. Like after, like, how do you reconcile that as a person? How
you were almost killed by a serial killer.
Yeah, that's a weird thought to live with.
Yeah, to know that had you not done that one move, you'd be dead.
Absolutely, you'd be dead.
I wonder how often, maybe not so much as a serial killer, but how often have we been close to death without knowing?
Oh, 100%.
I think about that. I think about that so much, especially because I'm doing my field research project on mediums,
like psychics,
and like people who talk to the dead.
Yeah. Okay.
And part of I'm not just doing that. Like part of the project is talking about my fascination with death, because I do have a fascination with it. And I think about, have I ever probably escaped? I know I've escaped death a couple times. First of all, I was born blue. Like the umbilical cord was choking me to death. I was almost dead. Then my appendix burst inside of me when I was in second grade.
Right.
Then this one's kind of funny.
We need some humor here.
Yeah, I was eating. This is a very grim episode, but that's the
downerest episode ever.
I died choking on chicken.
You almost
I almost died choking on chicken. I died. I've just been a ghost this whole time. No, I almost died choking on a piece of chicken.
You're choking on
see what I'm saying? Like it sounds like it's like, but I'm choking on a piece of chicken. And then the most recent death experience I had, a close possibility, was I was driving on the highway, and I'm not even kidding. This car came speeding by me. Like it must have been, it had to have been 100 miles an hour, because I was going like 70. I remember that. What happened was it cut in front of me. Cut in front of a car in the next lane, went on the ramp, not on the ramp, went on like one of the side median, the side, the median, right? Pretty much. Flipped over. And honestly, it was so far ahead of me that I was everything was in slow motion. I saw this car flying in the air,
Wow.
And I put on my brakes, and like it literally was like I stopped, and the car was like fucking coming towards me, and I was like, this is where I die. I seriously was like, and I was ready. I was like, I guess I'm dead. Like, I'm not going to know in like fucking 3 seconds, I'll be dead. Right. So like it drops and it falls in front. It falls in front of my car so close. There was no cars in front of me. Thank God.
Yeah.
It falls in front of my car so close that my car shakes.
Oh, wow.
And it starts turning around like that. Like it's on its side. It's on its top, just like spinning around. And by this point, like it's so close to my car that it's like this
brushing.
Like it could have brushed my car. And I was like, and I pissed my pants. Like I seriously, and I just sat there.
Yeah.
And I could see the guy in the car. And like, it was like, but by the time I caught my composure and got out of the car to see if the guy was all right, like the ambulance came. This guy fucking lives. He got out of the car.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I gave him what for? I swear to God, the cop was like, oh, you gotta back, like you gotta back up.
Yeah,
like I understand, but you gotta back up. Like I was like, I would have, because that doesn't. No one needs to speed. You don't need to speed, Jay.
No, you.
I don't speed. I drive like an 80-year-old man.
Oh, same here, man.
Dude, I don't care. I put on my Lawrence Welk. I just cruise.
I turn on my right-hand turn signal and just keep on going.
That right just keeps on.
Yeah, never happening.
I think that's called the eventual right, as Jerry Seinfeld said. Yeah, the eventual left. Yeah,
it's I kind of agree with you. Like I think about that too, but I think of it in strange ways. Like I think about it in ways of, like if I see somebody like on the street, like someone who's homeless, and I think if I pay them some courtesy. I mean, if I had not paid them some courtesy, would they have gone, if I had, just said, get the fuck away from me, or, you know what I mean? If I was rude to them, would they have killed me? You know what I mean? Would they have attacked me?
That went a different way. I thought it was going to go somewhere else.
Okay.
No, seriously, I thought you were going to be like, if I was rude to this person, with that like butterfly effect, like that affect them by like they kill themselves.
And then
you know what I mean? Because like you're just a nut.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Like you don't know, like that's you know your effect on the world. If would this person snap? And like you said, are they gonna direct that to you or another human being in the worst way possible? That is, to me, that's how I always think of death in my life, as far as the brushes with death.
Yeah, 100%. It's very. Yeah, I almost choked dying on a piece of chicken.
I just needed some levity.
I remember like I was sitting across from my father. And my sister was like eating dinner with us. I was young, and the chicken was in my throat, and I was making a noise like, right? And my dad didn't know, and he just looks at me and goes, "Can you stop that?"
Am I not dying, son? That'd be great.
So then, like, I was like, and my sister's like, he's choking. And my dad's like, holy shit! Like, he did, like, he gave me the Heimlich. It didn't work, and like, but then like it worked enough where like I could breathe a little bit, but it was still like in my throat.
Yeah.
So I went to the hospital, and they gave me a barium swallow.
Okay.
Just to see so I could do an X-ray and see where it was. And the barium swallow pushed the chicken down.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So now my mother's like, you survived this. There's something.
Swallow.
Yeah. And she's like, you're going to be something special. Something's carved out for you. You're going to make some difference in someone. I'm like, yes, I know. I started doing stand-up comedy. It's my gift to the world.
That
You're
is
welcome.
The gift.
Yeah.
That keeps on giving. God
I was
like,
saved 4 times. I was saved 4 times because the world needs to talk about 80s horror movies and how to kill people.
Right.
The smart way.
Better. Yes.
Speaking of killing smarter.
Yeah.
Let's go back and talk about how we would have done this a little differently.
All right. So my first thing. So number 1, here's how I would do this better. First of all, get into porn. That's how I think you do it. Like, obviously his desires were, you know what I mean? He needed that release, and he just should have just embraced it and gone full tilt, dominatrix, and he would have been happy as a pig in shit, and then he wouldn't have killed anybody.
But then he wouldn't have killed Smarty. He just wouldn't have killed. Well, yeah, but I get what you're saying. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of the better choice.
Yeah, that is the better choice. I mean, to kill or not to kill. I mean, What's that?
That is the question.
Shakespeare. But I think what really hit me was, you know what, man, you really got to be careful if you have a dead body in your car. That's not the time to be drinking and driving.
Yeah, that's true. That's absolutely
That's
true.
not
Don't
the
get pulled
time to be
over by the
drinking and
cop.
driving. Look, you got away with the murder. Put him in the floorboards or something. Do something normal, for Christ's sakes.
Right.
Put on, what was it, like forget what year it was, but it was probably a great sitcom on. Probably going to watch them All in the Family.
Yeah, in the 70s.
With his,
yeah.
I mean,
dead body. Let's watch.
That's
the
what I would have done.
Jeffersons.
I would have, and I also, I mean, bite marks, that's another thing. I mean, it's kind of hard to do bite marks correctly. You know what I would do if I was a serial killer who had like a fascination with biting? I would put in fake teeth.
Oh, that's an interesting.
Like vampire teeth.
Yeah, but so here's the thing though with that. I get where you're going with it, and
it's like sex with a condom, right?
But you gotta think it's worse than a condom. At least a condom, you have sensation. With fake teeth, you're not gonna feel that. You're not gonna feel the flesh in your teeth, and I think that's what it is. It's the feeling of the flesh. But
couldn't you essentially bite it off and then chew it with your regular mouth? Well, that's cannibalism, though.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, and so it's that weird little thin line. Like it's. I don't think it's that he wanted to eat them. Here's my weird take on all of this. Like, here's my weird little thought that is in my head. Did he buy like a 24-pack of tube socks and just shove them up everyone's assholes?
Well, this is like the decade of tube socks. Like this
I get that, but
right now it'd be, if it was done now, it'd be ankle socks.
Okay, and fine, but here's the old man in me. That's very wasteful. Like, you don't want to waste socks like that. Use a mopine. Like use a dish rag. Like, I don't use tube socks. That's expensive.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want a pair of tubes, but if they are used for the intent of what
we
he
don't know.
if we want
exactly. Is there something connected to the tube sock?
Maybe they were used. Maybe he just was done with them. He's like, here, tube sock.
Maybe, I don't know.
Shove an 8-ball in the tube sock or something, a cue ball. Like, have some fun with it. Shove that up the ass, because I
thought you meant cocaine for a minute, and I was like,
no.
Oh, this got weird.
No, that's just another sign on it. Studio 54. Yeah,
it's a dead mule.
Right. Oh man, I wouldn't have kept a scorecard.
No, never keep a scorecard.
No,
I think the big take. So never keep a scorecard.
No, you never write. I mean, at least not an obvious one.
I mean, this seems, to be fair, especially this is just a list of names of things. It was never a list of, like, they pieced together whose victims, but like,
it could have very well been.
It could be, airplane.
Could have been a grocery list, and
exactly.
like,
it could have, whatever. Another one too. So also, if you have a body in your car, don't drive like an asshole.
Oh yeah,
that has to be. I think that's to me. That might have to be the number one thing.
I don't drive like an asshole if I have a taillight out. I'm not going to drive like an asshole if I have
I don't drive like an asshole if I have an open can of soda pop. Like, just in
soda
case.
Pop. What is this?
I was trying to be more universal with my language, and I didn't want to name a name. I didn't want to give a brand name, just in case a cop sees me and thinks it's a can of beer instead of pop.
Yeah.
I don't normally say pop. I usually say a brand name, and I'm not going to say the brand name.
Don't say the brand
name. But yeah, that's a big thing too. Like, don't, if you've got something illegal in your car, don't drive like an a-hole, and you won't get pulled over with the body in your car.
I mean, that just goes for, that's how you kill smarter. That's how you, launder drugs smarter. That's how you smarter doing that. Just live smarter by don't drinking and driving.
Actually,
this was just a big mad episode.
He did everything wrong in that one instant. He was drunk driving, so obviously he probably swerved or did something to alert a police officer. He had the body in the car, and he had pictures. He had not only a dead body, he had evidence of all of his other murders. Like, he did everything wrong.
Which led them to his house, where he didn't even have anything hidden.
No, it doesn't seem like he did.
So Kraft was not crafty.
No, he was not. You need to rescind that statement. Kraft was not crafty at all.
Instead of calling him the Scorecard Killer, they should just call him the big fucking idiot.
It's true. It is, dummy.
What a maroon. Yeah, so that's good old Robert Kraft, the Scorecard Killer.
That was fun. That was an interesting one.
That was an interesting one. I like how it got dark a little bit, but I
we
mean,
got very dark,
hey,
and I
look
gotta say, I mean, to be fair,
you might have to put a warning at the beginning of this one. Another warning.
We have warnings on everything, but
be like, but put another one. And be like, no, we're really serious. You don't
this
want.
One gets dark.
This one gets dark.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah, that was a fun dark episode.
And,
this was the Deathly Hallows of our episodes so far. It was fun, but it was dark.
It was dark.
Okay.
It got real dark. It was, damn it, Randy Stevens Kraft.
Well, not all murders are sunshines and lollipops. Sometimes they're dark.
That's very true. Sometimes they're
not all
very
fun.
dark. But it was fun. Guys, make sure you follow us on all of the social media, on Instagram, Twitter, on Facebook, and on YouTube. You can go to Kill Smarter Pod. You can also follow, email us if you need at killsmarterpod@gmail.com. We are happy to hear from you. Follow us everywhere. And guys, we'll see you the next time. I'm Jay Burns. Let's give it up for my co-host.
And I'm Aaron Leidecker.
And we've been Kill Smarter.
If you are a victim of a crime and need help, or you would like to donate to those in need, please contact the National Center for Victims of Crime by visiting www.victimsofcrime.org.